Prologue, the Destiny Pool. The end is the beginning of us all. Hear the soundless lamentation of the ages lost. The past is hidden from the eyes of the weary, blanketed beneath ash and tears. The old world is passed away, its mountains shaken, its rivers torn from their courses, its plains rent with fire, and the shining towers of man tumbled to ruin. The orb of night is broken, its black shards tumbling from the dome of night to fall as judgment's cruel, black rain. The music of daughters fails to resound, the proud boasts of men are as dust in their mouths, and fear reigns in the dark silence that follows. The flesh is turned to dust, and all that we once were is forgotten and lost in the shuttered past. Where now are the virtues of the world now fallen? Were they taken from us, or were we taken from them? Were they abandoned, or were we orphaned by them? Was this not the blade of too fine an edge that cut between the light and night, between me and thee? Avatars of our dreams or nightmares, did you steal away from us in the night, or did we lose you by the wayside, sightless in our pride? How then, are we to look forward when we cannot look back? Only in the obsidian darkness can we comprehend the bright truth. The fall has sown the seed of our redemption, that we may harvest its fruits, harness its might and rise again from the blanketing ash of a past that has been cut from us as sharply as a malignant growth. Tomorrow is to be forged anew from a molten chaos by those who seize destiny's hammer and strike with uncompromising will. The man reluctantly closed the thin metal sheets of the small book. Each page was slightly bent and wavy from use, and the edges were slightly rusting despite his constant care. They were bound by 6 wide leather thongs along the left edge and a thick cover of tooled leather after the style of the northern Grunwald binders, and was barely larger than the size of his hand when he closed it. Still, the rune letters engraved on each page were as clear to his eyes as when he had first stolen the volume as a young boy. He no longer remembered where he had stolen it or even why it had seemed important to him at the time. He had not even known how to read then, an orphan of a village on the river Maino just outside of Run. He had survived on magic. He had a natural talent for conjuring and shaping that was of no small use to the farmers that kept him fed and sheltered in exchange for his urging their crops to grow or coaxing a troublesome boulder out of the way of their plow. But it was not until this book that he felt there might be more to his life than surviving. It was this book that had been his companion in learning to decipher the meaning from the runes with the help of the occasional minstrel that might mistakenly pass by such an inconsequential place. It had changed his life in such profound ways. He ran the fingers of his right hand over the tooled leather artwork of the front of the book as though caressing the cheek of a lover. If, indeed, he had ever loved at all. Only in the obsidian darkness can we comprehend the bright truth, he murmured. He believed that it was the book that had led him to cross the Vauban mountains and into the Grunwald plain. It brought him to the first of the Shard Falls. The shining crystalline stone, black and enormous, stood plunged like a dagger into the vast flatness around it. Everywhere else into the distance the grass was brown in the cold winter air, but around the fall were a variety of plants and animals, and even what the young man had thought were both plants and animals weaving and reweaving themselves into strange and wondrous forms only to shift again into new shapes both chaotic and ordered at once. It was the heart of a magic the likes of which the young man had never before experienced, and he was drawn to it without ever once questioning the wisdom in doing so. The man had had a name in that time before, but he decided that like the world in his book, his old self should pass away and a new self take its place. So he abandoned his name and became, instead, simply the Obsidian Eye. In the years that would follow he would come to believe that the wild magic surrounding the Shard Fall had all been a sign to him of bringing order out of chaos. He embraced the magic and its intoxicating power. Over time, more and more men and women with the gift were drawn to him as his reputation spread, each learning and expanding upon the craft of obsidian magic but tempering it all with the glorious book in his hands as a touchstone to order amid the chaos. It has shown me so many things, he said as he gently set the book down on the stand next to the high-backed chair on which he sat. It was in the center of a room whose walls could not be seen in the opaque darkness around him. He knew the place well, for it was his own chamber deep beneath the fortress of Desolis. A ruin from before the fall which his young order of sorcerers had claimed for their own. It was near enough to the shard fall that magic could be wrought here and far from the prying eyes of the petty warlords that were constantly battling each other in the wake of the world's collapse. He turned to face the floor before him. And now we shall see even more. In the floor before him was set a circle of stones around a dark, still pool. There was not a ripple in its surface, and it looked to be of infinite depth. The obsidian eye cocked his head slightly to one side. "Marcus? Are you ready?" "Ready, my master," came the answer echoing through the chamber. Marcus Diary was an acolyte among the obsidian sorcerers, and the obsidian eye knew he was far too lowly among the ranks of their order to attend him. Undoubtedly, the nervous Marcus was more perplexed at being here than any of those of higher rank and status who had thought to be here in his stead. The obsidian eye smiled. The presence of Marcus was a matter of destiny. "Attend me." The older sorcerer's whisper carried throughout the hall. "We have never before looked into the destiny pool, but is not a thing created such that it might be used? It is time we know our fates." The obsidian eye stepped down from his throne to the edge of the pool. He heard Marcus take up his stylus behind him. There were several soft clay tablets arrayed on a table next to him within easy reach. The obsidian eye reached down. Was this not the blade of too fine an edge that cut between the light and night, between me and thee? He stopped his hand short of the mirror surface of the pool. "Have you read the lamentation of the fall, Marcus?" "Yes, my master," the acolyte answered at once. "We all have, master." "Of course," the elder sorcerer sighed. He extended his hand and touched the surface of the pool. The placid surface erupted at once into a frothing, roiling madness. The obsidian eye stared at it for a moment and then began to speak. His own voice came to him as from a distance, being everywhere in the hall and nowhere at once. Outside of himself. "The world is fallen, fallen into chaos," he heard himself say. There was a dim awareness that Marcus was inscribing runes into his tablet in some faraway place. "The world is fallen, fallen into chaos." Men reached up in anger and shattered the sky. Its blackness falls to earth like a rain of dark glass. The ordered customs and rows of society are shattered. All men stumble in the blinding light of a blood-red dawn. Sightless who will not see. Deaf to the truth they will not hear. Mewing and wailing of and for themselves. They kill with discordant and untamed shouts. The melodic order of their better selves. Yet from the obsidian's fall shall arise. Seen only by the ordered eye. The blade which shall render order in their midst. Silence the voices who screech outside the ordered tune. Darken the eyes of unwelcome vision. And bring one vision, one voice, one song. To a world reborn in perfect twilight. Supreme and ordered once more in its flawlessness. Of one thought and purpose born and died. Until only the night remains. The master sorcerer withdrew his hand from the pool. "Master." It was Marcus behind him near his chair. He could not stop it from shaking. "Master," came the voice more urgent this time. "Yes," the obsidian eye answered hesitantly. What does it mean?" "It means the world must be ordered," the obsidian eye said with a smile as he gazed at his still shaking hand. "And that it is our destiny to order it."